The time has come for me to review something a little different. So today I listened to the full album for AFI's new release, the Blood album. Am I coy enough? So this year I'd like to try something new. I'd like to review new releases as they come out. So basically, the Blood album just came out yesterday, so um yeah, and it's pop punk. Well, kind of. It's more alternative, I guess. Um but my friend was adamant about me reviewing this, and Loudwire had tons of news dedicated to this, and it kind of got pretty much hyped a lot by the main metal resource on the internet. So I was like, you know what, this might actually be something I'd be interested in. So yeah, that's basically why I selected it as something to listen to and review. So yeah, it's pop punk. It's normally not something I'd review, but I was interested in it, and frankly, I actually kind of enjoyed it. So you'll find out my thoughts about it as I go along. So basically, AFI, just for some background, is an American punk group. They did a lot of like hardcore stuff, like influenced a lot by the Misfits. So they were a lot heavier towards their beginning era, and then they went through a pop period in the mid 2000s, and had a huge hit with Miss Murder. Um, and now in 2017 they released their 10th studio album entitled The Blood Album. So yeah, basically it's kind of a return to form for them in some ways, because the fans have all been saying it's similar to Sing the Sorrow, which is like their like big masterpiece. And I've listened to a few songs off of it, and it seems like it's some of the best pop punk I've listened to besides American Idiot. This album actually, though, surpasses Green Day's stuff from the past 10 years. I guess basically everything after American Idiot, because basically every Green Day release after 2005 is poop. Not to be offensive to anybody that likes Green Day stuff after it, but I just can't stand it. So, let's go through track by track, shall we? So the album starts off with Dark Snow, which is a very memorable track. I really like the phrasing of this song. It's a little bit different from the rest of the songs on the album. That's something that I found about this album, is that a lot of it is similar song structures, which may be a little bit of a detractor, in my opinion, but this song in particular stands out because it kind of switches things around. There's not that verse chorus type structure that we find later on in the album. So yeah, it's definitely something that I enjoyed. So good song there. It's a good way to start off the album. Next on the album is Still a Stranger, which is by far I'm not going to say the darkest song on the album, because this album is actually very dark in its entirety. But it's pretty dark, I'd say. I'm not a huge fan of this one. It's not a very standout track in my opinion, because honestly it's just kind of forgettable, but at the same time it stands out, and it doesn't stand out, but I give it props because it's like the only acoustic song on a mainly thematic and more, I guess, punky, kind of a bad word to use, but album, because I mean it's acoustic, and I like that part about it. The lyrics are actually very well written, but at the same time it's just not hugely great. Aurelia is the next song, which I found to be very enjoyable. Actually, this should have been released as the second single, in my opinion, from this album. We'll get to that first single soon, but this song is very enjoyable. I'd recommend it to anybody that likes post-punk because that's a different genre really than pop punk, but it reminds me a lot of um, stuff that, that's not played on the radio but is still popular in that genre. So definitely would recommend it. It's got a very catchy chorus, and the guitar riff on this one is pretty nice as well. So and Jade Puget, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, is the guitarist, and he actually is a lot better than I remember him to be. And frankly, his stuff on this album is all very memorable and actually pretty tasteful and good. Hidden Knives is the next track, which I think is pretty. It's not very good. I didn't like this song that much. To be honest, I kind of found myself zoning out halfway through. So definitely this one's pretty forgettable. The lyrics I didn't find to be very eloquent like the other stuff. Like that's the thing I have to say about this. Davey Havok's lyrics on this album are actually like pretty good for punk and stuff. Like it's kind of a what's the word? I mean it's kind of stereotypical for a punk to be kind of, too emotional. I'm sorry. It's yeah, it's hard not to listen to a punk album without saying that's a little bit cringy. But here there are not many, if at all, cringy moments. So definitely would give that props for being not a very cringy album in a not cringy at all album in a mostly cringe genre. Get Hurt is the next song, which is very memorable. I like the chorus. I really like the pre-chorus is actually very catchy as well. All these songs are very catchy and very tasteful, but at the same time, it's hard to distinguish which song was which. That's kind of a criticism I'll get to later on. Above the Bridge was just okay. It's the next song on the album. Um, I mean, nothing I can really say about this one because it's very similar to the last three tracks. And then last is So Beneath You, which actually has quite an interesting build-up, to say the least. I actually kind of enjoy the spaciness almost of the whole thing. And I think it's an interesting song. I actually really enjoyed it. The only thing I think this song is lacking is it would have been almost better if it were longer and had some sort of cool instrumental passage in it, because I think that would have made this first side even more enjoyable. Um, because I think that this song needs a little more, what's the word? It needs more of like a second part to make it really great, make it really stand out. So all in all, I think it just needs a little bit more. Maybe make it like a 6 minute long song, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe do like a jam in the middle or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too progressive minded, but I don't know. That's what I'd say about it. So then that's the end of the first side. Start off the second side with the definitely the best song on the album, Snowcats, which is the first single. The lyrics on this song are very memorable. In fact, I think I'll talk about what my theory is on the song's lyrics and all that. So basically, I think that this song, it talks about the Himalayas and cats in the snow and how those cats might be forgotten or something kind of similar to that. Well, I think that the Himalayas represent purity and like self-awareness and being above it all, kind of thing like that. The cats want to be there, and that's what it's referring to in the title, Snow. Um, I think that that's where the cats want to be. I think the cats are the band themselves because it talks about how, what if they're forgotten, what are those kind of things like. I'll pull up the lyrics actually right now. Here we go. It talks about who's to say when the cats are away? What if they don't come back? those kind of things. I think that it's talking about what if I walked away, what would the reaction be, kind of thing like that. So I really appreciate those kind of lyrics, and I think that this song is very powerful in that kind of sense. And it's a lot more progressive than everything else on the album, in my opinion. So definitely would recommend this song to actually pretty much anyone. I mean, I think it's pretty easy to get into this. So yeah. Then we go into the worst song on the album, "Dumb Kids." Very annoying. I'm sorry that offends people, but the lyrics are very annoying. Luckily, it's only 2.5 minutes long, so it goes by pretty quickly, but this one I do not need to hear again. Goes into Pink Eyes next, which is probably the second worst song on the album, actually. Um, I think it was interesting to say the least, but eh, just okay for me. Then we go into Feed from the Floor, which is actually, um, I think, really cool. I think that the build up on this one is actually very cool too. The way it builds up into the singing and the song itself. But it's the longest song in the album, only at 4 minutes long. But at the same time, I actually really like this one. The lyrics are again very good. So I give this one a thumbs up for sure. White Offerings is the next song on the album, the heaviest, I'd say for sure. He actually kind of yells on this song, as well as the Wind That Carries Me Away, which is the last song on the album. Um, and it's heavy, I'll give it that. And I think that it's kind of more my taste to like something that's heavier, but actually, in terms of the rest of the album, it's still really good, but it's not as good as I thought it would be coming from like a metal fan. Um, Chorus is very catchy. That whole "White Offerings" part is very it sticks in my head very well. So I really liked that part, and the guitar actually on here is very distorted for a pop punk band. So I think that this song is the most metal that they've recorded in a while. But I can't really say that because I haven't really listened to them that much. But you know. She Speaks the Language is the next song on the album. Awesome intro on this one. Very creepy with the whispering female vocal. Um, Interesting lyrics, I guess. It kind of loses its luster as the song goes along, but still pretty enjoyable song. And it finishes off with a surprise, "The Wind That Carries Me Away," which is actually very bluesy and atmospheric, which I found to be very interesting, to say the least, from AFI, because I wouldn't expect them to do something like this. The bluesy part, I think, is great. It still has a very similar pop punk structure that you find throughout the rest of the album, but at the same time, its progressiveness, I guess, is very welcoming and a cool thing to see. So it's a good way to end the album, in my opinion, and frankly, it sticks out as one of the best songs on the album. So yeah, that was the entire album, AFI the Blood album. Would I recommend it? Actually, yes. It's pretty enjoyable, and in fact, there's only two bad songs on here, "Dumb Kids" and "Hidden Knives." Um, but the rest is actually pretty good. Now, here are my criticisms. One, it kind of goes in one ear and comes out the other. Not to say that's a bad thing, because it's actually pretty nice background music, and if you wanted to listen to something to have on in the background while you do something, I think this would be a great album to do it with. Um, but at the same time, if you're a avid music listener and you want to find like things to pick out and stuff, this is a hard album to do it with because some of the songs sound very similar. You might have seen that with my review here. Another criticism I have is that there are no real long songs, which may actually be a positive point for some people, but for me, it kind of doesn't feel right. I think that it needs at least one song over 6 minutes because it would really change up the flow of the album and pace. Um, but I mean, I guess that's kind of different for some people. And then my last criticism is, I mean, actually, I don't really have another criticism. It's actually pretty enjoyable, and frankly, the things I've said that have been negative are not really too big that really take it down. But you know, this album doesn't feel like it hits hard, like you really want to like it. It feels safe almost. I don't really want to say that it's entirely safe, but it feels safe to me. So yeah, that's one thing I have to say about it that's a little negative. So AFI, the Blood album, gets a 3.5 out of 5. I think that's just because of what I said earlier. It feels safe, but Snowcats is definitely one of my new favorite songs. In fact, I have my Spotify account here, and I put 3 songs from this album on my new playlist I'll be adding to as the year goes along. Favorite songs of 2017. So, Dark Snow, Snowcats, and Feed from the Floor I'll put on my best songs of 2017. Favorite songs of 2017, sorry. List that I'm making. So, yeah. So that's where those went. So thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, especially if my friend enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be doing another video. This will probably be posted along with another video, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. And yeah, so that was it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.